Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and welcome to episode 98. Woohoo!
Wow.
I know. And I've got my first guest with me, Mike DeMatteo. He was my very first guest on the show. It was what did I call it? I always call it the maiden voyage.
98 episodes?
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
I had no idea.
You didn't?
No.
I thought I told you.
Well, no, you said it's the first show, but
No.
I didn't hear episodes.
Yeah.
And so that when you said that, like a lot of stuff went through my brain.
I know. We're gonna talk about that.
For sure.
Yeah. So today is also episode 98. So 98, 2 years running. I've learned so much. We're going to get into all of that today. This is going to be like a year in review. What have we learned? And we want to share our knowledge with you, what we've learned also.
Where you were.
Where I was 7
episodes ago.
I know. And
that's a lot of episodes.
Thank you. Okay. Mike's going to give me some compliments because I don't. All right. Let's just go on to let me just welcome everybody. Okay. Right. So welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I am very happy that you're joining me today for episode 98. And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple, on every podcast you go to. Please rate, review, leave a message. I guess that's the review part. Leave a message. 5 stars. I have a 5-star rating too.
That's good.
Right? I have a 5-star rating. I'm wearing pink to match my sign, even though I sort of changed it to orange. You can also find the show on YouTube, which is really cool because if you want to see what I look like, my guests look like, and you want to see us interact, you can go to YouTube at Jody Harrison Bauer. So any place you want to find me is at Jody Harrison Bauer. So I look forward to hearing from you. And if you are here with us for the very first time, what Fearlessly Authentic is about educating you and then empowering you with that knowledge, entertaining you a little bit. I hope I am a little entertaining. And then inspiring you to go live that fearlessly authentic life, because I believe that we're here for a short period of time and we want to enjoy our life. Like, why should life be hard? Mike and I were talking about that. Why does life have to be so friggin' hard sometimes? And so if we're here, why not live it without fear as much as we can, and living in our truth, which is our authentic selves. And as one of my guests, David Meltzer, brought up, that vibrating at your highest frequency is your truth. So that's what this show is about. And I talk about relationships, dating, sex, hormones, business, money. My favorite subjects are sex and relationships, like relationships and sex, how to date, how to flirt. And part of that, and that's where the hormones come in, because when you get to be a certain age, and you don't have to be as old as me to understand that, is that if those hormones are messed up, they kind of fuck up everything else in your life, your relationships with everybody else, even at work. So on with the show. Welcome again, Mike DeMatteo, my good friend for so many years. How many years has it been?
What year are we in? 2022?
2022. It's
probably been 10
since
11?
I opened up my studio, I think since 2010.
So that's 12
years. We've gone through a lot together.
Wow. I was 30.
You were 30. You weren't married. You had just moved back from LA.
Yeah.
Right.
30 years old.
30 years old.
Man, I was cranked in 6th gear.
Yeah.
In a different 6th gear than I am now.
Yes.
Sure. I think I'm still revving the engine and burning the tires, but it's a completely different feel of that 30-year-old rev the tires than the 42-year-old rev the tires.
Make sure he's talking into the microphone.
Oh, okay. Make sure you talk into the microphone.
I'm not. Wow, for once I'm not loud enough.
You're not loud enough. Okay.
Oh my God.
Thank you, our sound person here. So yeah, I was. So what am I? 61. So I was 49. Wow. Would that be 49?
I don't know. Yeah,
I think so. I think that's 49. So that's when we met. Yeah. Just as I was opening up the studio and we were filming a lot of things.
Right.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is like, for you to let the listeners know a little bit, because people know about me, and this isn't about me, but just
Well, this one we need to.
this one's a little bit, it's
episodes.
right. 98 episodes. Give me some props. You did already. Thank you. I don't need a lot of props, but I just need a little bit. So
Well,
go
98
ahead.
episodes.
I'm going to take it.
And when I first met you, you were hustling, you were going after things. But then as the years went on, it kind of seemed like you were going in all sorts of different directions. And because we were doing videos and stuff like that, trying to get your content game up, it was like, I always felt there was this thing where it was like, Jody, stop listening to other people. Maybe don't even listen to me, but listen to yourself, because you are so determined. Like, you knew what you were doing,
Right.
but you let all these other things get in your head, in your way. And I think it impeded progress. Fast forward now after that to when you started this show.
Yeah.
You see now what the deal is and why you don't listen to anybody else, or you listen to them, but you take into consideration their viewpoints rather than kind of go in the, because you end up ping pong balling all around. But if you're talking about like 98 episodes, that is one thing. We were talking about it before, but it's that consistency and the discipline, right? So two things, the C and the D,
right?
Consistency and discipline. And that, I mean, you know, from somebody like me who can be all over the place too. I think, like, I take into consideration knowing that's 98 now, like that's a feat.
That means,
like, I don't know if I've done 98 things consistently ever.
No, that means a lot to me, because even I was telling my daughters, I'm like, oh my God, it's 2 years and I can't believe I've done 98 episodes. And I was asking my assistant, I was hoping that I had 100. I was hoping that today would be 100, but it wasn't. It's 98. And it comes down to what we were saying we were going to talk about, but I know we're going to move on to a lot of other things, is determination. That number one, discipline.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely.
determination, and then trying to stay away from those distractions. So I was that person that asked a lot of people what they thought,
Right.
because I was throwing a lot of spaghetti against the wall to see what would stick. And we were creating content and doing things like that. Is it that what people want from me? Is my content?
But
what is it?
If I felt impeded by that, because I was like, God, I can never get Jody facing in one direction, take this train and just barrel through all the walls there.
But here we are 12 years later, and I still have but I still have my studio. Like, that's been a consistent thing too. So now you can say, wow, Jody's really consistent.
But see, there it was the studio that leads to everything else.
Yes.
And and maybe sooner, if we did the content more structured and going after that rather than these other things, but also we're still doing that. It's just, there's a time that's right for everything, if you can figure it out. And if you can have relationships that stay together for that long, and we're friends. So it's not just like, I knew how to separate business and friendship. And it was like, okay, well then Jody needs to go in her direction and listen to this person or listen to that person, because that's what she wants now. And I'm kind of falling on deaf ears as in a business sense, right?
Yeah.
Or in a, you know, let's develop this content. Let's develop a podcast. Let's develop a radio show, right? But now I think you get more of where my frustrations may have been, and at your stage in your life and your career, trying to figure out how to get rid of all those distractions and take what you need from certain people that have experience, but also learn how to decipher where their crap is, and not let that impede your progress. And if there's a wall in front of you, just barrel through it, like knock it down.
I think I agree with you 100%. I think what it comes down to for so many of us, well, at least for me, because you have a lot of confidence, is that I was married for 17 years and I was coming out of a divorce, 42 years old. And I'm like, I got to hurry. So that's obviously not something you could relate to. First of all, you're a man, you were 20 years apart. How old are you?
Right now, 42.
Okay. So we're 21 years apart. So being a man, being a woman, divorced with children and so on and so forth, I had this hurry up feeling. And so I'm like, I got to accomplish this, because I don't know what I'm going to look like at 45, at 50, at 55, at 60. And I've been lucky that I've been, knock on wood, healthy, and that I've maintained like preserved myself well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way to put it. That's all what we're trying to do.
Right. We're trying to
preserve ourselves.
Right. I'm not trying to, right. I'm trying not to look like, I don't need to look like what I look like at 42. I'm just trying to stay well preserved, cognitively, physically, mentally, right. Preserved well.
It totally makes sense.
And so, that's what I think a lot of people that are in their 40s struggle with. So now that you are where I was 20 years ago, right before we met each other, was that, what have I accomplished? What do I do well at this point in my life when I'm in my 40s? What is it that I stand for? What is it that I want to accomplish? What is it that I've accomplished? What do I need to be more consistent with? So going back, we're going to answer all those questions. But going back to the consistency, I did not know when I started doing the show on Voice America live and had to take 2 shots of tequila with you right next to me, because before the show started, it was Aaron who was there. And I go, I feel like I'm going to vomit. And you said, go take a shot. I go, what are you talking about? And you said, go take a shot. I'm like, of tequila? You're like, yeah, whatever you want to take, go take a shot. And I did. And I'm like, I'm still nervous. You said, go take another shot. So I did. But that was just my way of calming nerves. People have all their different ways. And now I don't take anything.
I mean,
it's that whole, but if you told me 2 years ago that this was a consistent, slow game, I would have said I didn't have the patience for it. However, I have thoroughly enjoyed this process. It has been amazing.
Because we were sitting downstairs chatting it up, and I kept looking at my watch being like, all right, when's Jody going to freak out? Because, it's 3:53. And it was so effortless to get on, where I'm the audio professional for, 2 decades now. And I'm, my mic arm is screwed up because I tried to fix something.
Right.
And you're the one being like relatively calm. And I
so different. From
it's so different. And you can tell that. I think that's what people don't get about taking on something new. And we'll use your situation for an example. And especially with podcasting and video, right? Because it's so prevalent now.
Yes. People
think this is easy.
I agree.
People think you can go order the mics and all that stuff, and voila, bada boom, you got a podcast, you got a radio show, you got a video piece.
Right.
And it's not. It's the same as everything else. It takes time to get good. Yes, some people have natural talent, but it takes time to get good. It takes time to get used to it, consistent, the discipline, and feel comfortable in order to get your message out to everybody, and do it in a way where people are going to take time out of their busy ass days.
Well, it's
and listen to your
right
stuff.
And crafting your message. And all I knew was that after Sports Illustrated, I realized that I had a voice on a global level.
Right.
And that I was going to use that voice to impact women.
But it couldn't suck. And that's where the consistency and the discipline and the development comes into it.
Right. So
you
I was
can't just get in front of this.
No.
And bada boom.
No. And so many people started podcasts during quarantine.
Right.
And I say bravo, but I also say to the people that have been having them for a long time, who's the last man standing? Like, I've always, when I competed in the shows, I want to be that girl, the last woman standing on the stage. When I'm competing in my Latin dancing, I want to be that last woman getting that.
But why? Because really, it's essentially, you're always the last one standing, because essentially it's about you, right? It's about what's inside you. And see, this is
where Mike's getting deep on me.
Well, because this is where I think I lay as a person. Like, I don't really give two shits about what anybody else thinks of what I do or how I do it. But I want to do it so it affects me and I know it's good.
But what I want,
even if 3 people listen to it, if I know it's good, I don't really care.
But what I want to challenge you on is pride. We did not talk about that before the show. We did not get into pride. So I don't need the accolades, but we talked about, what does success mean?
Right.
So when somebody says to me, like you're supposed to say to me right now, good show, Jody. I'm in the top 10% for listeners globally. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
I am.
Good. Good for you.
Thank you. Oh my God. But
Hold on a sec. If you weren't in the top 10% globally,
you're not making me cry. I just
would
have,
it matter?
No. Okay.
Because
good
you've
point.
just had how many shows?
98.
Right. And you've consistently done this. And this to me has been a big feat for you to develop that consistency. You've done all the tech stuff pretty much by yourself after I helped you a little bit set up, right? You've done all the producing for the most part, right? On the other end, you have some people.
Right.
But a lot of this has been done by you.
Right.
And
I'm the one going out and finding the guests. I'm the one creating the relationship with the guests.
So
I'm
if
the
nobody
one,
listened or the numbers were not whatever you just quoted, right? Would it matter?
Well, it would make me feel sad that this huge effort and time, because time and effort matter, that time that I put into it to have a show that sucked. So,
but whether
and there's
it might
pride.
not suck. It just might not be being listened to. See, I look at that and I go, okay, I've developed this consistency, but what's next? How do I get those people to listen? If I've got something that's good, it's just like a band back in the day. When any of these big popular bands started out, right?
Yeah.
They were playing to 5-10 people.
Right.
Right. The Green Day, perfect example. They were playing in dumpy little punk clubs.
Right.
Then they played Gilman Street and there was more people. Now they're stadium rock and roll people. So the question is how much consistency, how much discipline do you have to make yourself good at it? And then how much ball busting, face punches can you take to figure out how to get to that next step? So I'm just saying that I think no matter what the stats were, the stats are like the extra 15%. But that 85%, you're in. Okay. You're all in. And you say, what's my next step? Because you've developed the consistency now. You're like, I've done 100 episodes, right? Two more, you've done 100 episodes. Now what's next? How do I push this to more people?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. For me, I guess, that's why I brought up the pride. For me, I take a lot of pride in what I put out there into the world. I took a lot of pride in giving birth to my children, putting them out there in the world, my studio, my relationships with friends. So I do take a lot of pride. So if something felt flat, I see your point. I guess I would, because I'm such a determined mother effer, I am so determined that I would work really hard to find out.
See, pride scares me because pride,
ego. Right.
So, but what you just said is I'm tough as nails and I'm going to the next step.
Yeah.
But you can't get to the next step before you've taken the first step. And I think more of us, when we're all trying to get into like, what's that next thing that we want to do in our lives, our career, we know what the end goal is because we name it, but we focus on it too much. So we're looking so far down the road that's in focus, but what happens to everything else in front of you? It's out of focus.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Right? So when I look at it as like a camera lens, like a nice interview that's the background is out of focus, right? The depth of field is shallow, but you can see things in the background, right? But you see the subject. So
it's like the forest through the trees.
That's right. It's the same kind of metaphor, but I get used to looking at it because I'm usually looking behind, from the camera's lens.
Right.
But, I see things out there. And when I get out closer, those things will become more in focus. But if I'm focused on what's here, I'm just staring at this microphone and I'm not seeing all this.
Right.
And that's where I think we get very myopic in our chase. But so it's the opposite. So we go, oh, we want to lose weight, or, oh, we want to get stronger. And it's like, we look at it down there and it's like, well, where are you looking at it from? The couch. How am I going to get any stronger? I mean, I need to do it myself. Like I'm sitting down on the couch thinking I got to get stronger, only going to the gym once a week. Am I nuts?
Right. It's not going to happen.
Well, I got to get off my ass. Let's not worry about getting stronger. Let me just worry about getting up.
Right. So I think you and I, one of the reasons we get along so well and what we want the listeners to understand also, we're not sitting here on a pedestal telling you how we think you should do it. It's just, we want to share what we've gone through. And I think, our life experiences and what we've done and how we've gotten to certain places in our life is that, you can't say, I want to be a host on a national TV show. So anybody who's listening right now, I want to be a host on a national TV show. Just said it. My daughter told me that I'm not making it obvious.
Oh,
I just made it obvious.
That's very
okay.
obvious.
So I want to be, so that's like a big goal of mine. That's that big goal over there. So how do I get there?
you're
Oh, I
right.
better start getting behind a
Ni-
freaking microphone.
Right. 98 episodes will practice to you to get there.
And talking to people.
Right.
Right. So with that, that's the determination.
Because you can't
That's
go on the big
discipline.
network and fall flat on your face. I
Right.
learned that real quick when I was on a little radio station in college
Oh, I didn't know
doing
that.
news.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got an internship. I didn't want to get an internship getting coffee for somebody.
Uh-huh.
So my professor said, "You're being an a-hole."
Mhm.
And then he called me back 3 weeks later, 3 weeks into the semester. He said, "I got your internship. You're going to go work at this radio station
Mhm.
and they're going to put you on air and you're also going to mix this other show." I
Oh.
said, "Oh, I like the idea of
Yeah.
this." I go to a radio station. They give me a couple things. A week or two go by and they go, "You're doing the news today."
Oh.
I went on and it was awful.
Was it?
I got some stories out. I fell flat on my face. It was awful. I go back. The teacher's like, I said, "I don't even want to hear it." I said, "You're right. I got it. I understand. You're right." But I also knew that getting coffee for somebody wasn't going to teach me that.
Right. Yeah, it's all the life lessons. There are so many life lessons that you've gone through in all the years that I've known you. You've gotten married, you have a baby now, you've changed the way you run your business. It's
Yes.
completely different. You're actually sort of like managing people now under you because you realize you can't do everything yourself.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So yes, I see, and I knew that about you.
Right. See?
I knew that about you,
I
that you're
should've
like,
listened to
right. So, with all of these life experiences, and look, you could experience these things in your 20s. You don't have to be 40 or 60 or 50, but it definitely, if I could leave my listeners, if this was my last show, and it's not because I'm doing 1,000.
But that's an interesting.
If this was my
episode.
last show, I would tell you that if something is really important to you, put the blinders on and figure out a plan how to get there. It's the same way I talk to everybody about losing weight, gaining muscle, whatever the goal is. And that's what I did. I put a plan together.
And you take the first
And,
step.
and you also take the risks.
Oh,
you
you gotta
also
take the
have
risks.
to take the risks.
I mean, it's all of
because
us.
this wouldn't have happened if I didn't do Sports Illustrated and
Right.
didn't get global attention, because then that allowed me to realize that I had that voice on a global level to be on Good Morning America and do all those things that I knew I could do. So it's all about like taking the risks, believing. I know this sounds so corny. I don't want to say taking the risk, believing in yourself, all of those things that you hear everybody say, because I don't want them falling on deaf ears, but really, get really serious with yourself and figure out what it is that you want to accomplish and take the risks and set the goals. And if you can't figure it out, we were talking about basketball coaches and mentors and
like-
so on, like find somebody who could help you get there.
Take the
Does
little
that sound
steps.
totally corny?
No,
little
but see, my problem is the little steps. Like I take the little step to go to the gym once a week, and then I get busy on Fridays and I don't go. And then I try and do the stretches I need to do every morning. And because of my current situation, that
Yeah.
becomes a problem. But it's just bull crap excuses
Isn't
by
that,
me.
that's hard, right? I know.
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
but I know that. See, so like be self-aware enough to call yourself out. Now, maybe I don't go do those stretches today. Maybe I don't do them tomorrow. But I know that, like the guy I trained with, I said, "Can you give me 5 exercises?" He's
Mhm.
like, I said, "Call it the idiot 5."
Yeah,
He's like, "I like that, the idiot 5." I was like, "Yeah, because I'm an idiot when it comes to that.
right.
Like, I just need 5 consistent things to do, but
That you can do alone.
I got to go do them."
Right.
And like, so I guess that I know when I'm either feeding myself bull or when I'm not doing what I should do.
Okay, so wait, that's a really good point, because we were going to talk about 5 different things: discipline, determination, distractions, confidence, and courage.
Right.
I know those are a lot of things. So when we make a promise to ourselves, like you said to your trainer, give me 3 things, 5 things,
5
idiot
things.
proof
Yeah.
that I can do on my own. And when you don't do them, you don't keep that promise to yourself, then you lose a little bit of confidence, right? In the fact that you are going to keep that promise to yourself. Because when we keep the promises to ourselves, like me doing these shows every single week, we build our confidence.
My biggest thing with that is the consistency.
Right.
Is I use consistency as an excuse because I never had it back in the day because I never needed it.
Why?
Well, because when I was working in television,
Everything was reactive.
yeah, because it was like, hey, there's a show coming up for a month. Want to go to wherever? Or Super Nanny, we're going out on the road for 4 months.
So you didn't
ready?
have to plan it out.
Right, I didn't have to plan it out, and I had no responsibilities, so I just jump in, grab my bags. Now on there, I obviously had professional things I had to keep up, which has never actually been a
Right.
problem. For
No,
me.
never a problem for
But
you.
developing what I've learned now, and the next step I think in my career is developing the consistency on the how do I manage my business better and make it easier,
Mhm.
because I don't have that drive and I don't have the time to be an idiot when I'm doing things and
Right.
not doing it in a smart way. Like I just bought a $4,300 hard drive
Mhm.
that acts as a server,
Mhm.
and I'm going to need like 6 hours to figure out how I set that up. But I got to make that time because that's going to make everything I do in the video world easier.
Right. So that's going to make so much sense.
Right.
But you have to put in the time to do it.
Right.
Right.
And now
you
it's
have
it's
to
busy time because the college,
graduation
I'm doing
and
a lot of
everything like
videos for
that.
them. But I need to, as soon as next weekend hits, no, wait, this weekend and then next week. Yeah. After Memorial Day, I have to do it.
All right. So, but like, so that's the consistency. So do you think that your downfall is your lack of consistency in what you do? Like if
I don't know if it's lack of consistency, it's developing the consistency now and developing the business practices, which in my case happen to be, how do I get other people to help me if I need to drive a hard drive to their house? And then when they do work on it, drop that on another hard drive. Like I need to develop those kinds of things.
Okay.
So when I just need help, I call up this guy and I say, all right, go on the server, log on, find this project, edit it, and tell me when you've got a rough cut.
These guys, everybody at Voice America is like, yep, I totally get what you're talking about. Right, guys?
And well, they know, right? Because
Right.
they have this established. And it's funny when I
Exactly.
call myself the establishment productions, it's like, I have to establish those things. And I know that.
Right.
I've never had a website,
Right.
22 years in the
That's
game, because I've never
crazy.
needed one.
Well, I think we've got 30 seconds before the break. I think, consistency, as they say, hashtag consistency is key. I really do think it is. So the discipline and I'm not trying to wrap this up in a pretty little bow right now or anything, but just the consistency and the discipline, they go together
I do.
like peanut butter and jelly. I like peanut butter and jelly.
I do too.
Yeah, it's yummy. All right, we're going to take a break right now. We'll be back in a few minutes with Mike DeMatteo, and we're going to get into more things about the shows and sex and relationships. Be back in a few minutes. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm Jody Harrison Bauer, and I'm here with my good friend and mentor. You are a mentor to me, Mike DeMatteo, who I forgot to give a proper introduction to, but Mike has worked on Survivor,
Super Nanny,
and The Apprentice. So this is just not your normal guy here sitting here with me. And we were making videos for YouTube back in 2010. So, and by the way, that reminds me, you could find this show, if you're not listening live, you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please rate, review, subscribe, leave me a 5-star rating. And also you can find me so you can see what me and Mike look like together, and that I'm wearing pink today instead of black for my 2-year anniversary and 98th episode. What am I going to wear for my 100th episode? Maybe orange and pink. I don't know. I'll maybe wear a gown. And we were going to, so you can go to YouTube, Jody Harrison Bauer, and subscribe there. And you can see what I look like and my guests look like and what we look like on Zoom. And hopefully I'll be doing more in-person interviews.
Yeah.
So one of the things we were going to talk about sex and relationships, but
I don't know.
I was thinking about talking. I'm like, what am I going to say about sex and relationships?
Then if my wife listens to this, she's gonna be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah, you're like
talking
not
too much," which I always get in trouble for.
So you know what? The thing about sex and relationships is that they're both two really different things, or they could be involved in a relationship. So there's sex alone, and then there's relationships. So I guess my point of bringing this up was that I have people on my show that love to talk about sex, how to improve your sexual relationship, whether it's getting a handle on your hormones, whether it's getting, my guest last week, Lee Jagger, was talking about rocking the bedroom. Like, what can you do to give yourself more confidence? So if you're a female and you're in a heterosexual relationship and you're not totally secure about how to pleasure your man. And it's not just about him getting the pleasure, but the two of you enjoying the pleasure yourself. Sometimes if we have more confidence in the bedroom, we could rock it out better versus being insecure. And we were also talking about confidence before the break. And it's always promising yourself something you're going to do that gives you the confidence. So whether it's Mike being consistent and being disciplined, those things to me bring somebody more confidence. So if it's in the bedroom and you're consistently working on something together, then that brings you to a more confident couple, and let's go and have more sex.
Yeah, the confidence there, I don't even know when I developed it. I was much different when I was younger.
When did you lose your virginity?
I was 19.
Oh, okay. So you weren't that young.
Oh, no. I waited a while.
I was 22.
You know,
22, not 22, not 20 also, but 22
22
years old.
Too.
Yes.
But all these things are similar.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Because I think, like, if you're talking about sex, like, you got to try different things. You got to experiment. You got to figure things out.
Right.
You got to listen to your partner, whether it's verbal or whether it's nonverbal or whether it's words or noises, right? And things like that. Like, you got
language.
Yeah, you got to take that into consideration. So whether it's business or whether we're talking about sexual relationships or just relationships, in general, it's like the same 10 things that go into all these things. I think we just overcomplicate it because in one, there's feelings involved, but there's also feelings involved in business. People don't want to get that, not sexual feelings, but just emotions that always come up. I don't like that. I try and keep it very emotionless because it's like, hey, look, we're just trying to make money here.
Yes.
Like,
okay, but listen, wait. Okay. So see, I knew we could talk about sex and relationships without talking about actual sex.
Well, I can make a metaphor.
Scrotums, penis, vaginas. We don't need to bring up all those words. Not that they're yucky words or anything, but we didn't. But you're right. That's why I want to talk about it, because everything that I talk about on the show, whether it's sex, hormones, business, money, relationships, dating, sex, being whatever you are and wherever you are in life, in any type of relationship or wherever you're living, it all has to do with if something's going to be successful, we need to feel a little confident in what we're doing.
But you can't be over emotional.
Oh, okay. So I want to, this is not something I wasn't going to really talk about.
Well, here we go.
So Mike is a very, as you can hear in his voice, Mike is a very excitable person.
That's for sure.
I think you're really emotional. And so you started telling me before we got on the air, I'm not very emotional, or
listen.
And I'm like, what?
It depends what emotion you're seeing. If you're seeing,
I've seen you so angry that it scares the shit out of me.
I've been told that.
You've been mean to me.
I've not been mean to you.
You have.
I've been real with you. You've taken it as mean. Yes, because I would never be mean to anybody. And I also wouldn't
I'm not that sensitive. By the way, I'm not that sensitive anymore.
Good, because you're confident now.
Right.
Right. But I was telling you.
Because I took risks.
Yeah, but I knew you were taking risks. And I was pissed because I was like, yo, I'm telling you, you're good.
Yeah.
Like, I know what good is. Okay. So stop listening to this guy, that person, or this other guy who thinks they know what they're talking about.
All right. So we're not talking about me. We're talking about you right now.
Well, for me, I get excited because.
Right. So there's the drink.
When it gets to that point, usually I'm pissed off.
Do you want to blow out that candle?
Nah.
I think the candle is bothering you.
It probably is, but we're in the zone here.
Okay. So. All right. So emotions.
I'm like the Hulk. What? I hold a lot in. And then when it comes out,
since when?
When it comes out, I'm a maniac.
Like, I only see the maniac side of you. Like, when you come into my house and you're mellow, I don't know who you are. Like, I think something's wrong with you.
Today I was pretty mellow.
Right. You were very mellow. I'm like, hey, I'm not ready yet. Can you sit downstairs with my dog until
because I needed to calm down because
you got
I got a nail in my tire.
Right.
When the guy that I'm working with, he had to give his car back.
Yeah.
I just got this car back after 3 months of being in an accident and finally got fixed. And now I got a nail in the tire and I got a busy weekend of how am I going to get everywhere?
Right.
But looking at that, I was like, well, I'm already screwed. So I might as well just calm down.
Right.
But usually with other people, what gets me is because I feel like I've said this 7 times. And now either we're getting it or like at some point it's just like, what have you been doing? Have you been actually listening or no?
Okay. So that's where the emotion is.
Right. But
So-
other than that, I want to have no emotions because it's like, hey,
Yeah,
let's
but
go
when
get this done.
so do you think that it's helpful to be emotional in your business, to have a successful business? Do you think you don't need to emote?
No, you need to emote at the right times.
Okay. I think that's very helpful. I agree with you 100%.
Like
that-
when you hang up the phone or when you're in a meeting and sometimes you just got to be like, I'm not putting up with this crap anymore.
Right.
Or, the people that you're working with enough to know that you can have those kind of conversations or arguments
Mhm.
and it's going to get you to a better place. And after the fact, nobody cares. But if you're working with people that care, it's like, that's why I couldn't imagine in corporate America, not even having to work there. Right. Like I've always worked in this kind of television industry where people will rip, like in live TV, a director will rip your face off for getting something wrong.
Really?
And then move on to the next thing.
Mm.
And if you can't, like, if you miss an audio cue and everybody hears it, you might as well just suck it up and move on and get the next one right. Because the director's yelling and screaming in your ear. But if you take that personal, you're going to screw up every other one.
So that reminds me, I love that, because you can't go back and change it, right? So if you miss that audio cue, it's over.
And it's live on the air. It's thousands of people.
Right, like this.
Right.
So it's over.
Correct.
I try to explain to people like on Instagram that like I do this live radio show because most of the podcasts are pre-recorded
and edited. Correct.
And
so this is live.
This is live. And I try to explain, a few people have said to me, Jody, it's a podcast. I'm like, yes, it ends up being a podcast, but there is something exciting. And I love the adrenaline rush that we can't.
Like it.
Right. I love this, which is why I want to be a host on live TV.
National.
A national, yes.
Everybody that's looking for
so because I love that feeling like you have to be on your game. And guess what? If you screw up, there's nothing that we can do. I mean, unless you have that second time, whatever it is, but not even right. Like here, we don't have that. So what I was thinking about what you said was, we were talking about sports because you're a big sports fan. You're a big NBA person,
right.
Celtics.
Celtics
I don't like
tonight.
this. I don't like the Celtics.
Good. We don't like anybody else either.
But you're not from Boston. Why do you
We're
like
from
the
Connecticut. We get to pick.
I went to school
whether
in Boston.
whether we want the Celtics or any of the Boston teams or the New York teams.
Yeah, I like the New York Times.
And
teams.
believe me, I get a lot of flack for that.
Yeah,
anyways.
I did not know you were a Celtics. I'm very surprised about that. But anyway, so like in the NBA, like you can't go back and change. I've spoken to enough athletes to know that like if you are a professional player of any sport, if you screw up or something gets screwed up, a play gets screwed up, you can't go back.
No.
And their attitude is, we can't go back. Like you just, like if we lost, we just look to the next game. We look to the next game. And I've learned a lot. One of the things I've done is in the last 2 years is learned a lot from my guests with things like that, because I'm one to sit on something that maybe I used to, if I screwed up on something, I'd sit on it and sit on it and sit on it. And I don't do that anymore. And that's surprising. So anybody who knows me, has known that I do that.
Getting good.
Right. And so one of the things I also, in the past year, this year has been really tough. I lost my mom at the end of December. She passed away the day after my birthday. It was a holiday season. My birthday is December 27th for anybody who wants to. Fellow Capricorns.
Well, we have that in common now too.
Wait, what?
My brother was.
Oh, that's right.
3 days before mine.
Oh, I didn't know it was 3 days before yours. I didn't.
That was the first time I saw him actually in a casket.
It's not easy.
For sure.
So I started dancing. I started taking Latin ballroom dancing. And one of the things that you learn is that if you screw up a step, I'm doing the cha-cha. And if I miss that turn, you can't go back and change. You can't go, excuse me, judges, I screwed that up. I'm going to go back. Rewind. And you can't even have that panic look. You can't go back.
No,
you can't go back. So I think what people need to understand about life is like, give yourself that break. you took that risk, you took that chance, you might have screwed up, but every time we screw up, we learn something. And we also gain the confidence that we can try harder to do it better.
Well, I mean,
But it's not, for me personally, it's not spending the time on something I could have done because it's gone.
well, you'll get another opportunity to do it differently.
Well, hopefully,
I mean,
you will.
more than likely you will. I mean, if you're talking about something in this game of being on air live,
Right.
you'll get another shot. You're going to have another episode, right? Unless you have the catastrophic one.
Right, which I'm not.
You know, but we've
Right.
seen that in the media, and
Yes.
and for all the media's issues. But when you look at these people that are on TV for that long and being that perfect, and whether they're reading a teleprompter or going
Right.
live, whether you're talking about somebody on the news like Anderson Cooper, or you're talking about a Brian Williams, or you're talking about a Rush Limbaugh, you're going out there and you're going to, like, you can't make mistakes. And
Right.
it's unbelievable. Or you look at what's her name, Simone Biles from the Olympics,
Oh yeah.
right?
Right.
Like that's in that you're going out and performing every 4 years. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of pressure.
Yeah, it
So
is.
when you have a mess up or an injury or a problem like she had, anybody getting on her doesn't realize the level of which she has to attain at every time she went out there.
Right.
Like the bar was so high. And I think we talked about this.
We
last time,
did.
but the bar was so high. The bar is so high for some of these types of professions
Right.
that it just becomes, eventually you miss the play. You make the mistake and you just hope it's not catastrophic.
And I actually think that they could move on faster if they didn't have the
Well,
media
some of them,
following them around.
yeah.
So maybe Simone would have been able to like deal with what was going on
But
in
you're
her life.
with her, you're talking about not just difficulty, but you're talking about danger.
Right.
You know, it's different if you're like Michael Jordan or Kobe or Larry Bird or
Right,
Magic, right? Because you're not dealing with danger necessarily. But with her, when
Right.
you're that high in the air doing those
My God.
nutso things, like that crazy stuff,
That's-
like you're not just dealing with I need to be perfect. You're dealing with scary and fearful things,
Right,
And
right.
that's where, you know, that fear can really come in. But even on air, like, you know, it takes people a long time to get back out there.
Yeah. Well, it's suddenly you start thinking about everything you're saying rather than just going with.
Well, then you're right. You get in your own head, but I think it's whether it's people on air at those levels that we were talking about, or whether it's my ass on the couch, not going to the gym enough.
Yeah, we need to.
It's literally like what are you doing to get better?
So let's talk about that. What if somebody wanted to get better at something or start something? My suggestion as a coach for a very long time is that you figure out what is it that you want to accomplish. So is it, let's take you for example, is it that you want to feel stronger in your body? It's not about building big muscles. You're not
No.
a big guy.
No.
It's about building the strength so you feel good walking around in your body every day.
Well, here we go. So what are we on? Episode 98. And you're telling me that you're consistent. So I'm going to tell you right now, some of the loose goals I have.
Yeah.
And maybe on another 50 episodes
Okay.
or whatever it is,
All right,
we
we'll
figure
check it
out
out.
if I actually did.
Okay.
Yes. Get my body stronger so I can handle my old ass age
Yeah.
as it gets there.
So young.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. But if you
But I
feel
get
the lack of hip strength and mobility
it.
that I've lost, that's a big deal.
Right.
When you get to 50, 60, 70, 80, right?
Yeah.
We're dealing with that with my father-in-law right now.
Right.
Like,
Right.
when you get
I've
to those
fallen and I
ages,
can't get up.
yeah,
And that's
it's
why
like-
I teach functional strength and
Right.
core strength. That's what you need to focus on.
And then I want to get the business functional where the back end is managed and I can get less crazy and worry about either more sales, more creativity, that kind of thing.
Well, you're
And
you're the thinking guy, you know, but you are the functional guy.
I gotta
You've
do
got to
both.
keep the wheels turning right now.
So I want to get those things so I'm developed and I have things working in an automated type fashion where I can get people to help and alleviate some of my insanity
Mhm.
so I can spend more time with my family and
Right.
put more effort into that. because obviously I'm trying to, and then try and figure out how to get away with the distractions or make the distractions less.
Right. So we were talking about distractions.
Right.
And I'm going to have you on the show in like 10 episodes,
Okay.
and we're going to do a follow-up on this.
All right.
The distractions. One of the things somebody just recently asked me how I deal with the distractions, and how I stay so focused on my goals. And it's not always easy, but
No, for sure.
I've gotten very, very, very good at putting the blinders on, sort of like what I did when I got ready for fitness shows. That even with, with my show here and at my studio, is putting the blinders on. So when I'm at the studio and I'm training a client, I'm just in the zone. I'm not thinking about all the things. When I'm here, I'm in the zone. And what I've done, because I think I've actually gotten smart enough to do that, is I finally have hired good people to help me with the shit I don't do well.
Right.
Right. So the key is
that's the essence of what I need to do.
Right. That's
I need
what
to
you
figure
need to
out
do.
the shit I don't do well and figure out either how to make that.
Thank you, Seth. So yes. So I think what you need to do is make a plan and figure out how you're going to get there. It's seeing the forest through the trees. It's seeing the tunnel at the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, here's my big one.
Okay.
This thing.
The phone.
And
so the distractions.
and the email, because when I'm in editing a project, because I still do that. Like, that's what I love. Like, I don't want to be the manager all the time. Like, I need like, that's, and I think that's what makes me and my business successful. Right. But I can't do it all the time.
No.
But when I do it, I got to get in the zone. So I got to throw the phone down.
Yes, you do.
I got to throw the email away.
I'm going to give you a tip right now.
And that's the problem with being in the apartment.
Okay. I'm going to give you a tip right now that I learned from, a group that I'm in. So it's called the Pomodoro Method. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Okay. I've shared it with a bunch of people. You do something for 25 minutes.
Right.
So you put the timer on your phone, 25 minutes, and you do that task for 25 minutes. When the buzzer goes off, maybe you're not finished. You put it back on, or maybe you go to the bathroom, make a cup of coffee, call your wife, whatever it is that you need to do, and then put it back on 25 minutes. Yeah. And keep doing those things so you don't get bothered by those distractions. And I do that with almost everything that I do, because I have a hard time staying focused. And but we can't accomplish anything if we don't eliminate or reduce those distractions.
My big thing is that,
like, you looking at stocks or whatever it is, those trades that you do.
And I have that side. So
right.
And that side's been actually very good last year. This year, it's been an up and down swing like you wouldn't believe.
But that's also like a side hustle that you do. So,
well, yeah, but it's right. So
it's a distraction, but it's something that you do to.
My biggest problem, like yesterday, I had a great day. Somehow, Daniela was home from school. Jessica was there. Mm-hmm. And the market for me was going in the right direction because I'm short a lot of stuff. So yesterday was a big, big day. And I didn't have to pay attention to it. And somehow I got in the zone with them being here, and I edited, and I killed it. Like, if I just have that 3-hour window, that's why, like, after dinner and 7:30 hits, like, my wife goes to bed really early. My daughter goes to bed early. So by 8 o'clock, but now I'm spending 8 to 11 in the zone.
Right.
But that's 8 to 11.
I know, I get the same thing.
So it's like, why can't I do that during the work day?
It's hard.
Because everybody else is doing all this
right.
stuff.
So you have to know that consistently you're going to work from 8 to 11 or 9 until 12. But then
but that takes its toll after you do that for 3, 4, 5 days.
You're 42 years old. Cut it out.
Yeah, but I really don't have that ability to.
I'm so mean. I just told you to cut it out.
Yeah.
Cut it out.
But I wish I could, but I don't have that. I can stay up to.
I do.
God awful hours and get up the next day and be functional, especially with the kid.
I know. So listen, we have like 3 minutes left. That's it.
All right.
We had a lot of things that we wanted to talk about, but I want to sort of wrap this up a little bit. I want to thank everybody for listening for 98 episodes and for 2 years. And I am so excited to bring you more and more guests that will educate, empower, entertain, and inspire you. And hopefully Mike and I did that today. Hopefully you picked up something. We had so many things we wanted to talk about, but I think we hit on the discipline, the distractions, the determination, the confidence. And, you know, and by the way, when I talk about taking those risks, that takes courage. So
For
if
sure.
you do have those goals, don't give up. Don't get bummed out on yourself for not reaching them. You have a whole life ahead of you, whether you are in your 20s or you're 61 like me, you can do it. Fearlessly authentic. Mike, what does fearlessly authentic mean to you? What does it mean for you to live and be fearlessly authentic? You've got about 45 seconds.
Take shots, go after things, take the little steps, because those will make the big steps.
Mhm.
Don't let anybody stop you, specifically yourself.
Love that.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I think we stop ourselves from doing things, and know that it's not all going to happen at once. And like you said, we have a long life. Like
We
I,
do.
you know, I can segment my life already in only 42 years into different little career
Yeah.
steps, or even just different little pods. So always figure out what's next. What can I do next? You don't have to change everything, but it's like you're taking up the dancing,
Yeah.
right? I taking up now, how do I function, make my life functional? You know, got back on the tennis courts. Like it doesn't have to be all at once. You can't do it all at once. It's the same thing. I can't go put 50 pounds of muscle on at once.
No, you
I got to
can't.
start with 3
Right.
curls.
So it's steps. It's little steps. It's what I trust the process, not the prize. Trust the process,
There you
not
go.
the prize.
I like that.
I like that too. And I
Yeah.
don't think I made that up. I think I took it from somebody else. But thank you very much. Congratulations to me
Congratulations
for
to
2
you.
years. And we got to
Absolutely.
go. And I'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, go live a fearlessly authentic life. Thank you.